What's up guys, Anders here with a New World video for you. Today we're going to go over my early first impressions of New World and take a look at how it stacks up against my main game, Black Desert Online. Now this is going to be an early first impression, so I will be making more videos on the game as I progress further, do dungeons, get to endgame content, and see what the rest of the game has to offer. I really made a point of trying to go in as blind as possible for New World. Didn't read anything, didn't look at much media over the past year. I've heard some good things, I've heard some bad things about the game as well. Wasn't really sure what to expect, but it appears that with this beta, a lot has changed. This game is incredibly solid, fun in the feeling of having a whole new world to explore, a seemingly massive crafting and life skill system, and what seems to be large-scale PvP fights in the end with some rational sense behind PvP, which is unusual for me coming from Black Desert. My main objective coming into this beta was finding out two things early on. How is the leveling experience and how's the group interaction? Is it hard to play with your friends? Leveling in New World is pretty straightforward. You take quests, complete them for XP, and you move on. But there are little side branches you can take. There are repeatable faction quests, repeatable town quests that you can do that are both PvE and PvP depending on what you choose, what you want to do. Leveling in Black Desert is pretty much the same with questing, but you do have that option to grind your levels, and that is something that is technically possible in New World, but not incredibly efficient to do so, at least solo. In group, I think you can make some headway, but the XP per mob isn't really enough to level you quickly. Now in BDO, you level ultimately by grinding mobs, but here in New World, it's more traditional MMO leveling through questing. I was able to group up with my friends with no issues. Two of us actually started in a different region, but we still managed to progress at our own pace, keep in contact, be in the same party. I still have no idea if we were actually able to sync up the starting areas if you come in as a party, but it really wasn't all that bad. A minor gripe, I think, from day one. Honestly, in day one, we had the queues lasting forever, so that was the main issue there. But day two and day three, nothing crazy. Waited at most 10 to 15 minutes to get into the game every time. We can practically do quests together, help each other at least with whatever we're doing if we're advancing at different levels. Overall, it doesn't feel like one of us is getting left behind. There are also two forms of groups that you can make that I've seen so far. So the first one is PvE groups, and the second one is PvP groups. So the way PvP works is that once you choose a faction of 3, you can attack other players of different factions, but only if they have PvP enabled. The way you enable PvP yourself is to be in a town and press U to flag up. You leave town, 30 seconds later you can PvP. So that's how it basically works. There are also sanctuaries that prevent PvP. Those are like little teleportation devices. So if you just teleport out of somewhere, you're not going to get insta-ganked. You have 30 seconds of protection. You can't just attack anyone you want either, so both people need to be flagged for PvP. I think that's a good compromise. Players who don't want to deal with PvP don't need to worry about it as they level, and players who do want to fight can flag up and fight. Simple as that. There's also a 5% bonus XP perk for being flagged up, so it's a little bit of an incentive to PvP as you level. If you want, you can just spend hours and hours logging and leveling your logging skill to 30 to be able to log even more trees, do hunting and tracking, so hunting different animals, level that up to 25, get new hunting animals that you can gather. There are overall a lot of life skills, 17 in total, divided into 3 categories. So there's crafting category, gathering as a category, and refining. They're all linked in some way or another, which I really like. All the materials that you get from gathering or hunting, you can go into your town storage. You put them in the town storage and access your materials from the town storage by using the crafting benches. You don't need to have it on you all the time. That is something that took me a while. I was struggling with weight because I had all this material until I realized, oh, for crafting, I can just put everything in the storage, and then the crafting bench will use everything the town has in storage. That is new to me. I've come from Black Desert where everything needs to be in your character inventory, otherwise you can't craft anything. So if you forget something you need, you have to go back to the storage keeper or convenience it into your inventory through cash out maids. Here in New World, you have the convenience built in. Now each town has its own storage, so you can't just go to a town 3 kilometers away and then expect to use the materials that are in your original town. That's not how it works. so there is a bit of a limitation there. The inventory and the rest of UI took me a little bit to get used to. It was okay. Using E as the spam through dialogue option instead of F or R took a bit, but now it's really no issue. It just takes a couple hours to get used to. The lack of minimap was actually really annoying at first because I'm used to using minimap so much in Black Desert, but now I've gotten used to opening the map and I really don't miss it. It's kind of nice. I like the compass tracker. Reminds me of the nights I'd spent traveling the world in Skyrim for hours and hours. That was almost a decade ago. Actually, the game itself, New World, feels a bit like Skyrim when it came out. Do a lot of exploration, a lot of gathering random things. You don't know what you're doing, but you know it's a good time. Really nice ambiance. New World feels a lot like an Elder Scrolls game in that sense. Stats for New World are surprisingly basic. There are no detailed stats of your character, but you have this progression bar where you can put points into attributes, and each weapon requires certain amounts of attributes to scale with. For example, the spear scales a lot with dexterity. The great axe scales a lot with strength. Coming from Black Desert, I'm not too fussed about detailed stats. It doesn't really bother me, but it's really going to depend on whether or not some stats that you should know are hidden. Hopefully that's not the case. Like accuracy or hidden damage reduction was hidden in Black Desert for so long, but those were pretty important things to know about your character. It's all going to depend on the combat in New World, which leads me to the weakest part of the game, in my opinion, the combat. Now, it's not at the level of Black Desert, no way, not even close, but it's not trying to be. It's not trying to be that hack and slash. It feels more like a Dark Souls combat system, but a little bit more basic than that. You have a light attack, a heavy attack, and some skills you can learn. The skills you learn are for your weapon, and the more you use a weapon, the higher the weapon's mastery level goes. So if you use a spear a lot and you gain mastery level 5 with that spear, you're going to have some perks that you can use, some abilities with that spear that you can spec into. If you then pick up a fire staff, you have 0 mastery with that fire staff, and you're going to need to level it to gain some perks and abilities. It makes sense. You're not going to be OP with a new weapon that you've never used. You can choose to have 2 weapons, by the way, equipped at any time. You can swap between them as well. I played around with the sword and shield and the spear for me has been the most enjoyable for me so far. The musket also feels pretty incredible, but like I said, the combat is very basic Dark Souls. That's not to say it's bad, but it feels at times a little floaty, and I've read that it wasn't always the case. They've revamped the combat system again for this beta and taken out some of the stagger and weighty feel of the weapons. I think it's good enough, to be honest. It's not going to be a smooth transition if you decide to play New World, having played Black Desert for a while. It takes a bit getting used to. I'm also playing on EU servers with my friends, so the ping is kind of noticeable in some of the combat. I started an NA East character, which is my location, where I have much better ping, and it felt a lot more responsive. So keep that in mind if you're looking to play or try out the game. Make sure you choose your region for the best experience. I've gotten used to the ping though a little bit on EU now. It's not the game's fault. My friends are in EU, so I'm playing on EU and just dealing with the ping is fine. The cash shop seems pretty basic in the beta. I don't think they're showing us the entire thing. Some costumes, some emotes that you can buy. Nothing crazy, to be honest. I've heard rumors of pay to win, but I don't really see anything like that here. I don't think they're going to show the entire pay for progression thing on a beta. So the launch will be most likely the full-fledged shop, and we can make some criticisms then. I come from Black Desert, a game most people think of as pay to win, so it will be interesting to see how I view the cash shop compared to others from games like Final Fantasy, for example. The nice thing is when you buy an outfit, it's unlocked for your entire account. So you have a new character that you make, it has that outfit as well, so that's really nice. Sound-wise, the game sounds amazing, very crisp. Some of the staff attacks actually sound like cannons to me, to be honest. It's crazy. You can hear people logging in the distance, mining in the distance. It's really cool. I didn't know I wanted this in the game, but it really adds the ambiance to the game. It makes it feel more alive. The melee weapons though don't feel as impactful. They don't sound as nice, probably because of lack of hit stagger or something. When I did do some PvP, I would knock down an opponent as well, and I'd managed to get at most like 2 attacks before they got up. I would expect them to stay down longer, but that's just me getting used to the combat system. If I threw like a spear with a knockdown trait, by the time I got to them, they were up and running anyway, so throwing the spear made no difference in the distance between me and my target. It seems like those CC skills, I kind of wish they worked a bit more like Black Desert, but that's probably just me being used to Black Desert CCs. It's still early days and I don't really want to make a judgment call yet on the game and how it works combat wise till I get to max level and actually do some real endgame content before the beta ends. I did the same thing, the same method of the alpha of Lost Ark. I leveled to max level and then did some raids and dungeons, and I still love that game. That game was amazing. I'm hoping New World continues to impress me and continues to be a lot of fun as I get to max level and experience what the game has to offer, since it comes out August 31st on Steam. So really soon. You can try out the beta until August 2nd. I had a giveaway on my channel recently for a beta key. If you didn't participate, I don't know if I have any more, but just stay connected to the Discord. Maybe I will have more keys to give away. But I believe you can also pre-order the game for a beta key and try it out yourself if you're looking for a solid action combat MMORPG. Well, I think New World so far has been very good in my eyes. Outside of Lost Ark this year, which you could argue Lost Ark is a different type of MMO, New World has impressed me the most. And that's pretty much it for this one, guys. Let me know what you guys think about today's video in the comments or over on our community Discord. We're now public and accepting new members, so follow that link, react to the comments to get your member role, and say hello. If you want to support the videos I make in small donations, you can follow the Ko-fi link below and buy me a cup of coffee. I love coffee as much as I love bells, so every coffee you buy will be greatly appreciated and will of course come with some Discord perks. Remember to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that bell icon to get notified when I upload my next video. Remember, bell is good. As always, guys, thanks again for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll see you all in the next one. Take care.